divisor. Yep. And last one, remainder. Now we want to know what are these four words in regard to a division problem. When you have like 7 and divided by 4. Now what's the 7 called? Does anyone remember? Yep, this is called the dividend. Now a number that you're dividing by is called what? Yep, divisor. And then when you get an answer, like the answer we got was 1 3/4, that 1 is called what? Quotient. And then finally that 3, you know, is called the remainder. Now you might see sometimes when the answer is written as 1 3/4, you could rewrite that as 1 plus 3/4. That's the same thing. And this just means that they take the quotient and then they add the remainder and divide it by the divisor. That's where all of this came from. Long division. So when you do x plus 2 equals 0, what is x?
2.
Close. Negative 2. Yep. You have to be careful of that sign. So we'll put a negative 2 in right in this box. Okay, so now we have that negative 2 in. We're looking at this polynomial right here, and we're going to take the coefficients from it. So what do you guys think the coefficients are from the x cubed? 1. What about for the x squared?
5.
Yep. What about?
-1.
Yep. Negative 9. Okay, so then we're going to draw this line in, and we're going to bring down that first leading term, which is that 1. So that leading term.
Was that the sign then? Like
No, you don't have to.
addition, subtract.
No. Well, the only thing you would do is if it's a negative. So if it's a positive 5, then we're just keeping it positive. If it's a minus x, that's like saying a plus negative x. That's why there's a negative 1 here.
Okay.
Alright? Now when we do this, we bring down that 1. The first thing we'll do is just bring it right down. Now just like we did with division problems, we would take this number and multiply it by the divisor. This is your divisor. So 1 times a negative 2 is? Yeah. So we take that negative 2, and we put it right here underneath the 5, so the second column. Put a negative 2. Right? Now what we do is for the next step, we want to get an answer here. So we're going to add this column right here, the 5 and the negative 2. So what's 5 plus the negative 2? Yep. And we get a 3. Now we want to do the same thing that we just did here. With the 1, we use this 1, we multiply it by a divisor, and we put it right here. Now we're going to do this same process over and over again until we get to the end. So we have 3 times a negative 2
This isn't
equals negative 6. So we put that negative 6 right here. So now what would come right here? Close?
positive.
Negative 7. So it's like a negative 1 plus a negative 6. So that's negative 7. Alright, Victor, what do you think this is? What are we going to do here? It's negative 7. And we want to put a number here. So we take this number, we're multiplying it by the divisor to get a number that goes here. So what's that going to be? Negative 7 times, what's the divisor? Yeah, so the divisor is negative 2, so you're left with a positive 14, which goes right here. Thank you. So you have a negative 9 plus 14, so what do you think that is, Pat?
5.
Yeah, it's a 5. Now when you have all this here, we want to say, what does this mean to us, right? It's just a bunch of numbers. This 5 right here, you can box off and say, that's your remainder. Okay, and then these 3 numbers that are left are going to give you your polynomial for the answer, the quotient. So the quotient is x squared, be careful, because there's 3 terms right here. So you have to look at, this is an x squared, this is an x, and then the negative 7 is left alone. So we have an x squared plus 3x, a minus 7. And then your remainder is 5.
So the coefficient with the highest exponent is 4. That's like every time you do a problem like it, it's always going to be 4.
It's always going to be the coefficient in the highest degree. So first thing you should do is, guys, if you see a problem like this, negative 13x plus 4x squared minus 32, don't just put the 13 here as your coefficient. You need to arrange this in a way that's descending order from the highest degree. So your highest degree is x squared. Rewrite it like how the original answer was written, like this. That way when you put your coefficients in this order, that makes sense. Otherwise your answer is going to be totally wrong. Got it? All right, let's try one more. It gets a little tougher when you have something like, say that. Yeah. Say this is your binomial, and we want to divide it by x minus 2. So this is your divisor.
So then we put 0 for...
Got it. Yep. And this is your dividend. So what Victor just said was, we put 0 for something. What do you guys think the 0 we're going to put it for?
X.
Right, there's no x squared term here, so you can even imagine this as plus 0 x squared if you need to. As that's your answer. So when we write our coefficients, you don't want to write, you want to write that 0 in for your coefficients. Make sure you don't just skip it. So when we do this, the number that goes here is what?
2.
Got it. And then you have a 1. Don't forget that 0. Then you have a negative 2 and a negative 3. Now what's the first step we do?
For another 1.
Got it. Yep. We bring down the 1. So you have 1 times what number?
2.
2 gives us, and we put that right underneath that 0. Now are we adding here or subtracting? Well, adding. Yeah, we're going to add here. So when we add, we have 0 plus 2 is, okay, what's the next step? 2 times 2. And then you add the 4 there. Now we add them across, add them down, so we get a 2. Last step, we're almost done. We do 2 times 2 is a 4. And we add it down and we get a 1, positive 1. So we box this off, this is your remainder. So no matter what's here, if there's a 0 here, that's your remainder. But you're always going to box off that last term and call it your remainder. X plus 5. Okay, so everyone set this up. I want to see what the setup would look like. Remember, there's only an x cubed term. There's no 2 terms missing. So set up the, how it's going to look like, and then, all right, guys, show me the setup. What number goes right here? Okay, 1, 0, 0, 125. And what number is right here? All right. So then, what do we bring down?
1.
Then what's next? Okay, what's this one? Oh, this one is, okay. And you're left with? What does that mean?
No
remainder.
No remainder. Kind of cool. So you're left with, what's the polynomial?
Minus 5x plus 25.
That's it. And you don't have to write a remainder. Good job,
You have
guys.
to factor that, or you just...
No. The whole point of this is, remember when we did a division problem like 6 divided by 3 equals 2? You know that you could reverse it and go multiplication. Which 2 things would we multiply to give us the answer? Yeah, 3 times 2 equals 6. So just like that, you can do the same thing with division, with polynomials. If we take this answer right here, the quotient, that 2, and multiply it by the divisor, we'll end up with x cubed plus 125. You can try it out.